Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, early voting is off to a strong start in Victoria County. A look at the numbers on day 2.
And a local Catholic holds a special mass to remember Pope Francis ahead of his funeral this weekend.
Plus, local property owners show up to learn more about appraisals and the protest process.
We had some great rain this morning. This afternoon, a few little sea breeze showers. This is the stuff from last night. Late this afternoon, more fired out in far west Texas, but is any of that coming into our area? We have all that coming up at the moment.
And Victoria Gares boys track and field team plays tied at the TAAO Championships. I'll tell you more in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I am Amaya Norman filling in for Dawn Brubaker for tonight.
More than 500 Victoria County voters have cast a ballot after the second day of early voting, both in-person and mail-in. That is 1% of registered voters. Early voting goes through April 29th at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center. On Monday and Tuesday, the Bloomington Volunteer Fire Department will also hold early voting from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Election Day is May 3rd.
Bloomington is having its town hall tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. to talk more about the incorporation plan up for vote. Community member says the purpose of the meeting isn't to push residents to vote for incorporation, but educate them on what it means and have a conversation around that, as well as a difference in more sustainable plans. The town hall would take place at the VFW Hall in Bloomington.
This brings us to today's viewer poll. What is the biggest factor influencing your decision to vote early? Is it the convenience? Is it avoiding crowds, your work or travel schedule? Or do you prefer to vote on Election Day or don't plan to vote at all? We want to hear from you. Go to crossroadstoday.com/vote. And right now, 54% of voters say it's the convenience of early voting that gets them out to the polls early. And again, you have until April 29th for early voting. Thanks to everyone who took part in our poll this evening.
And now it's time to check in on our weather.
Yeah, let's go to Mac Perez for a first look at our midweek forecast. Mac, we're on that downhill slide to the weekend.
Yeah, the weekend's looking good, but this morning was even better. I mean, that rain we had today was beautiful. 1 to 2 inches solid throughout the entire Crossroads. That's really going to help us out. There are more thunder showers out in far west Texas that developed late this afternoon, but those probably will stay in that area. We'll have more on your weekend outlook coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
With the passing of Pope Francis on people's hearts, Our Lady of Victory Cathedral in Victoria holds a repose mass to pray for the soul of Pope Francis. The repose mass consists of hymns and prayer. Father Currie Lavati says the Pope's passing is a time of great sorrow and uncertainty, and as he encourages parishioners to pray in this time. Laverty remembers the Pope as being a man of the people and challenging others to apply their faith to their lives.
The Holy Father is Christ on earth, and so for us to lose him makes us all lost.
Catholics will mourn Pope Francis's passing for 7 more days.
Now overseas, the Vatican is welcoming crowds to St. Peter Basilica as they say goodbye to Pope Francis.
That's where he's lying in state for 3 days ahead of his funeral on Saturday. ABC's Ines de la Cuartara has more from the Vatican.
Tonight, the People's Pope once again among his people. From daybreak to past midnight, over 25,000 people lining up to see Pope Francis lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica. People from all walks of life waiting in line for hours to pay their respects. We met Ella Metcalf from Oregon, who said she didn't mind the wait.
This seemed like bigger than us and like something we needed to be a part of.
Some praying, others weeping. Pope Francis lying in a simple wooden coffin. Public viewing was set to end at 7 p.m. local time on Friday, but the Vatican saying in a statement it may extend that time frame until midnight due to a, quote, high flow of visitors. His body moved in a procession earlier in the day from the Pope's residence at Casa Santa Marta to St. Peter's, members of the Swiss Guards lining the way, cardinals walking alongside the coffins, solemn hymns ringing out.
very, very moving experience to see him so vulnerable after so long, being so unwell.
Meanwhile, the Vatican gearing up to welcome over 200,000 people for the Pope's funeral on Saturday, including world leaders like President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Officials are ramping up security with a heightened police presence on the ground. Meanwhile, cardinals in Rome met again this evening to continue planning the conclave. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News at the Vatican.
The Victoria Central Appraisal District is helping property owners understand the appeal process for property tax appraisals. More than 30 people attended a meeting tonight, which was the third and final meeting by the appraisal district. The chief appraiser explains the importance of being up to date.
Being able to talk to property owners and taxing units about how the system works and getting them to understand how it works and how we can best assist them and how they can best assist themselves.
The deadline to file for an informal appeal hearing is Thursday, May 15th.
Now, the state of Texas now has its own Doge office. Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill today creating a permanent office dedicated to government efficiencies in the Lone Star State. Senate Bill 14 was passed last week, authorizing the creation of the Texas Regulator Efficiency Office, inspired by Elon Musk's Doge. Unlike the federal version, which is temporary, Texas Doge office will be a permanent part of state government. The new office will be separate from the 13 members bipartisan Texas Doge Committee formed in February. Governor Abbott says the goal is to reduce regulations and lower cost.
A mother and daughter have finally been identified in the decades-old Gilgo Beach serial killer case. Nassau County Police say the woman known as Peaches was 26-year-old Tanya Denise Jackson, an Army vet who served at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. Her 2-year-old daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes, was born in Texas, and their remains were found years apart, but DNA from relatives helped connect the dots. Now investigators are hoping someone who served with Jackson might come forward with a $25,000 reward on the table. Police say it is still unclear whether the deaths are directly connected to the Gilgo Beach serial killings, but the case is getting renewed attention.
Now, although Tanya and Tatiana have commonly been linked to the Gilgo Beach serial killings because the timing and locations of their recovered remains, we are not discounting the possibility that their cases are unrelated from that investigation.
A cause of death for Tanya Jackson and Tatiana Dykes is still unclear. Credit card debt in the U.S. is at an all-time high. About 48% of Americans report having credit card debt, according to a new survey by Bankrate.
Yeah, and some experts worry President Donald Trump tariffs could further burden Americans' household. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan breaks down the numbers.
Nearly half of Americans who have a credit card have debt. Those numbers are based on a new survey by the financial site Bankrate. And among the people who have debt, more than 70% said they believe they'd be able to pay off their balance within 5 years.
It's definitely a problem at the household level.
Ted Rossman at Bankrate says debt has reached an all-time high. According to the latest report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, credit card debt in the U.S. has reached $1.21 trillion. That's 4% higher than a year ago. Rossman says that breaks down to about $6,600 per household.
If you make minimum payments at the average interest rate of about 20%, you're in debt for 18 years and you owe close to $10,000 in interest.
Many experts worry that higher prices due to President Donald Trump's tariffs could worsen debt for Americans. The White House is hoping it will encourage companies to bring back jobs to the U.S., but that will take time.
People are feeling squeezed between higher housing costs and medical care and food and childcare and all these things, and there's just not as much wiggle room.
If you do have a lot of credit card debt, Rossman says it's best to pay off as much as you can so you don't pay more in interest and penalties. You could also look into transferring your debt to a 0% interest credit card. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
The Texas Senate passed a bill last week taking aim at school district leaders who used lawsuits to stop the release of the state's school performance ratings for 2 consecutive years. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com.
And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Seadrift City Council submits a new water tower logo design and it denies a compensation change mid-budget year. And the General Land Office is looking for volunteers for the Adopt a Beach Magnolia Beach cleanup. You can read these stories and more at portlavacawave.com.
And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to be sure to receive alerts. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, President Trump signs a stack of executive orders focused on education.
Plus, a new study links certain common health issues to high risk of early dementia. See what researchers discovered and how you can protect yourself. The trial in high-profile Massachusetts murder case is underway. This is Karen Reed's second trial after the first one indeed in a mistrial.
Yeah, she's accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend with her SUV and leaving him to die in the snow in 2022. The 45-year-old Reed says she's being framed by several people, including law enforcement. Christina Rex has more.
We don't like reruns.
Karen Reed's comment on why her team's opening statement sounded different than her last trial, focused less on alternate suspects and more on a botched investigation led by one man.
And that cancer has a name, and his name is Michael Proctor. Michael Proctor was alone with all the critical evidence in this case, alone with Karen Reed's phone, alone with John's phone, alone with video footage, alone with the taillight material, alone when he claimed to recover evidence from 34 Fairview. He wrote the search warrants, he transported the evidence, he secured it, he submitted it, he did it all.
Ask prosecutors, and this was a failing relationship that ended when Karen Reed clipped John O'Keefe with her car.
She went backwards at least 70 feet. She clipped John O'Keefe. He fell backwards, hit his head.
Prosecutors focused on new data from Reed's car and data they say will show that John O'Keefe's cell phone battery got colder as the night went on to prove he was left in the snow.
It's interesting whether it's a new expert who looked at this and found it or if it was just overlooked the first time, but I think it's pretty significant.
Prosecutors focused on new data from Reed's car and data they say will show that John O'Keefe's cell phone battery got colder as the night went on to prove he was left in the snow. Then the first witnesses took the stand. Paramedic Timothy Nuttall, who said that in this moment captured on dash cam, Karen Reed said 3 times,
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Defense pushed Nuttall because his testimony conflicted with the last trial. As promised, prosecutors then used Reed's own media interviews as evidence to back up his testimony.
The closest I must have said was, did I hit him? I know I said I hit him, but did I really say it as many times as law enforcement's claiming I said it?
Then Kerry Roberts was called to the stand. She was a friend of John O'Keefe's who was with Karen Reed the following morning after getting this frantic call.
Kerry, John's dead. And then she hung up.
And already a change of schedule on Friday. The jury will not be here. Instead, 2 crash reconstruction experts from the company Orca will come here to privately testify in front of the judge and lawyers because the judge believes that the defense has continued to violate her orders about discovery with those witnesses. In Dedham, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
A new study suggests metabolic syndrome could raise your risk of developing dementia earlier in life. That's a combo of health issues like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, a large waistline, and low good cholesterol. Researchers looked at the data from nearly 2 million people and found those with metabolic syndrome were 24% more likely to develop dementia before age 65. It doesn't prove cause and effect, but staying active, eating well, and getting regular checkups could help lower your risk. Now, cigarette smoking is at a record low, but use of e-cigarettes is rising, according to a new CDC report.
With more, here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
New CDC data shows the number of adults smoking cigarettes has dropped to its lowest level in more than 60 years. But at the same time, more adults, especially those under 45 years old, are using e-cigarettes. That shift means tobacco use hasn't changed all that much, even though fewer people are lighting up. Tobacco in any form remains a leading cause of preventable disease and death in the U.S. Raising prices, expanding smoke-free policies, and offering support for people who are trying to quit can help make a difference, according to the CDC. And of course, the best move for your own personal health is to avoid all tobacco products, including vapes. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
President Trump signed a series of new executive orders in the Oval Office late this afternoon. Among the 7 orders focused on education, the president signed an action to enforce laws on the books requiring American universities to disclose large foreign gifts, as well as an order that aims to change the college accreditation process, with accreditation being based on merit and results. During the signing ceremony, the president also answered questions on tariffs and when he may bring down the 145% tariff on China.
Democratic attorneys general from 12 states filed a joint lawsuit arguing that the president doesn't have the constitutional authority to execute his sweeping tariffs agenda. They argued it's unlawful, undermines Congress' constitutional authorities to regulate foreign commerce. The legal challenge, led by Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield and Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, seek to stop the enforcement of the global tariffs.
President Trump's stance on national economic policy and tariffs has been nothing short of chaotic. It's put our economy on tilt. It's already begun increasing prices on things we regularly buy, from groceries to utility costs. And a lot of people don't know that Oregon gets more than 70% of its natural gas from Canada. And it's forced us into trade wars. And ultimately, it is going to cost our state jobs and our country jobs.
The state's legal action follows last week's lawsuit filed by a group of small U.S. businesses against the administration tariffs policy.
More than 1,500 student visas have been revoked under the Trump administration, according to a CNN report. That includes over 175 international students at colleges in the University of Texas system. Visas have also been pulled at schools like Syracuse, Iowa State, and the University of Wisconsin. There are strict rules tied to student visas, and the State Department says it has broad authority to cancel them if conditions are not met.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Quairo Records. The Yorktown Public Library is technology and printing hub, and the Yorktown ISD works on agriculture barn safety improvement. You can read these stories and more at DuetCountyToday.com.
FEMA is losing about a fifth of its full-time staff just weeks before hurricane season. Roughly 1,000 employees are taking voluntary buyouts as part of a federal push to cut down government agencies. Even top leaders in disaster response and recovery are on the list. President Trump has been vocal about wanting to shut FEMA down, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says that could happen in the coming months.
Well, good evening, everybody. We're at 74 degrees right now. Quite humid out there. That's because all the leftover moisture from that beautiful rain we had this morning. We did get up to 84, but we got, more importantly, 1.1 4 inches at the airport. A lot of other places got a little bit more than that, but that's a real blessing. Couldn't have come at a better time for the growing season around here. Coming up, we'll be talking about the possibility of any other showers moving in our direction. All that in just a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. I hope the rain didn't get in your way early this morning. I know it was a little heavy there for some time. For those of you who were surprised by that, you weren't watching last night. Last night, we saw those thunderstorms develop out here in West Texas and then continue driving all the way down into our area and then moving offshore. Here is that cluster. As you can see by the cloud deck off of those thunderstorms, the upper winds are basically moving in this direction. Well, yesterday, the winds were in our direction. Tonight, they're a little bit farther north. As a result, if any of this stuff gets a little, shall we say, stays together, it'll be a little farther north and not necessarily moving in our direction. So I don't think we're going to have any additional activity coming in from that. But in West Texas, you're going to see a lot more of these thunderstorms pop in pretty much every afternoon. The direction of the upper winds makes a huge difference for us. It was a beautiful rain, and then late this afternoon we picked up a few little sea breeze showers, as you see right about there. We may see 1 or 2 of those tomorrow, but it will not be anything significant or strong or heavy rain. It'll be just what I call a 10-minute shower, and that's about it. Taking a look at our rainfall totals here, here's the scale. If you're in the blues, you're up to 1.5 inches. If you're in the purples, you're at 2.5. And if you're above the purple and the reds, you've got almost 3 inches of rain. Here's downtown, and there's Goliad. So somewhere down in Fannin, they got a good dump of rain. All this is great news for the farmers. It's great news for you who like water, because a lot of this went into our watershed, into the rivers. And so the rivers hopefully will start refilling, because we were getting pretty low there, you know. So for tomorrow, we'll see a southerly wind pick up a little bit stronger. And of course, we've got an opposing, got a confusion here. Southerly winds at the surface are going this way. Upper winds at the top, up at 10,000 feet, are coming this way. So that's why that shear we'll not allow a lot of that stuff to move into our area tomorrow. But you can see there are big storms in far west Texas, even as we speak right about now. Folks in the Panhandle, they're really getting pounded by hail and all kinds of problems. So let's take a look at your forecast for tomorrow in Port Lavaca. Looking partly cloudy, a little bit of wind picking up in the afternoon. We're looking at 15, maybe 25-mile-an-hour winds in Port Lavaca. Cuero, you'll get up to about 86. Pretty good looking day, a little on the humid side, but not bad at all. We're looking at winds probably peaking in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range in the afternoon. So it'll be a little blustery there during the afternoon hours. So a 7-day forecast shows here we're looking for a slight chance of one or two little pop-ups. Otherwise, we're looking partly cloudy and windy on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as well. It's not till about Tuesday, Wednesday that we start picking up a little bit of a chance of a shower or two on that. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And so we'll toss it over to, wait a minute, Max, it's not time for football yet.
Mac, there is always time for football because Goliad football team revealed their 2025-2026 football schedule for this season. I'll highlight some of the key matchups for Goliad coming up in sports. All right, Crossroads, to start our sports block here, we had some breaking news just about 45 minutes ago. Victoria West defensive coordinator Jacob Huckabee is now going to accept a new position there at Full Share High School. It's outside of the Houston area. And then for Huckabee, he was there at Victoria West for one whole year and helped Victoria West get to the playoffs there last season. So going to be a big loss there for the Warriors on the defensive side there for next season. Now, over from football over there to the track, where we're getting the Victoria Gators boys track and field team finished first place at the TAIO State Championships this weekend with head coach Jaden Williams. But we also had a chance to speak with some of the top track athletes for the Gators who made a name for themselves there this past weekend. This past weekend, the Victoria Gators boys track and field team became the TAIAO Division II state champions, having a total team score of 163 points. Their margin of victory is 33 more points than the second place team in Annapolis Christian Academy. One of the players was Micah Offerbach, who competed in 4 events and placed in triple jump. Credits his teammates for their hard work this weekend.
Teammates, they were really motivational for me, and we all went in there knowing that we were going to win it, triple jump at least. Absolutely. Knowing we were going to do well, and we did. And I think that's what really contributed to us winning the most.
With Offerbach mentioning the team's confidence heading into the meet, 4x400 relay runner Bladen Tompkins knew in order for their relay team to place, he needed to keep that pace at the beginning.
So I try to keep us between second and third. I try not to fall back, conserve the energy, and once I hit that last meter, got to take off, got to push it in.
Tompkins also mentioned with his team becoming state champions, he hopes this gets more and more exposure out to the Victoria community.
You know, we got to, the more and more we go to state, you know, we pull in more kids across Victoria and all the counties across, and then nobody really knows about Victoria, so we got to put a name here.
With the Gators making some noise here in the city of Victoria this past weekend, Coach Jaden Williams is proud of the improvement these boys have shown and how they've kept faith in their lives.
Proud of the kids, you know, just coming out and always getting better from the day one, from when I first came, you know, to now. You know, they've gotten so much better, and they've always kept God in their life, so that's all I can ask from them.
This connection which Williams has brought to the boys team has propelled them to be state champions and inspired them to be more in their lives. The Gators will have more meets here coming up in the upcoming weeks, and can't wait to see how they'll finish off this season. All right, now from Victoria Gators here to Goliad, where they revealed their 2025-2026 football schedule. They're going to start with 2 scrimmages versus top-ranked Refugio Bobcats on August 15th, and then they'll be at the Gonzales Apaches there August 21st. Then the Tigers are going to open the season up on August 29th at East Bernard. The game's going to start at 7:30 p.m., and then their home opener will be the following week at Tidehaven there, and then they'll face their rival Edna on October 24th. And if you want to see the full Goliad football schedule there, just go to crossroadstoday.com/sports. And we have the NFL draft here tomorrow, and again, right at this time, we'll probably be on a little bit late there for tomorrow's show. And I asked everyone else for the first round, what are a couple of names you think that are going to be big-time stars on Sundays there from the first round? You first got Miami, Florida quarterback Cam Ward, Colorado playmaker Travis Hunter, Colorado quarterback Shadur Sanders, Boise State running back Ashton Genty, or Penn State defense end Abdul Carter. And for the 6 o'clock, we kind of had right now a mix of Cam Ward, but that kind of changed up there a little bit, different from Cam Ward and everybody else. And also, Abdul Carter got some names. So again, all these players are talented. Can't wait to see where they get drafted there tomorrow night. That's going to do it here in sports. Amaya and Shawna, back to you.
I'm just going to mention Shadur Sanders is in the lead now, so yay!
You didn't mention her guy.
I'm a Shadur Sanders guy.
All right, well, stay with us. What started as a lunchtime joke turned into a graduation day shave and a lesson in keeping your word.
Watch tonight before our luck runs out.
Yeah.
If you could remake Back to the Future, would you go back in time and see to it that you never met Matt Damon? That he disappeared?
If you ever need motivation to hit the gym, just look at YP, an 89-year-old from Ohio who has not missed a day at the gym in years. He says it's his gym friends who keep him going, but the truth is, he's the one inspiring everyone else. Even his gym bag has the message, keep moving. Last week, everyone showed up to celebrate his 89th birthday. He's doing handstand push-ups at 89. Whoa. Yeah, so everyone showed up last week to celebrate his 89th birthday, not just because he's a regular, but because he reminds them that age is just a number and motion is medicine.
See, I need to be like him, get in the gym. I can't get in the gym. So a promise made, a promise kept. Oli, which is a senior at a Iowa high school, just graduated and helped his principal lose the beard in the process. Principal Aaron Ruff told Oli he shaved. Once Oli finished his credits, it started as a joke during lunch, but they shook on it and both kept their word. Oli went from needing 10 credits to walking the stage in May. Now his name proudly is on the wall with the rest of the grades. Now that right there, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Keeping your word and shaving your beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's the weather going to be?
Well, his advice is keep showing up and keep believing in yourself.
That's right. Very little chance for any additional shower activity tomorrow. Otherwise, we're looking partly cloudy, warm, and windy for the next few days.
All right, enjoy the outdoors. Thanks for joining us. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts next.